All right, we are at the IDW Top Shelf booth, and we're talking with P. Moss, and we're going to be talking about screwing Sinatra.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I like to find out a little bit about who I'm talking with. Tell me a little bit about your comic book journey as a reader and a creator.
I don't really have a journey. I mean, I like what I like. I love Godzilla. And IDW, my publisher, put out this. I mean, they do a lot of graphic novels, as you know. Um, they did this beautiful coffee table book um, based on the crime fiction of Richard Stark, and the thing is absolutely beautiful. And so that kind of bridges the two genres. But I mean, when it comes to comics or whatever, I mean, I'm pretty old school and mainstream, and like I said, I like Godzilla, and like one of the reasons I like Godzilla is because, take for example, Godzilla Goes to Mars. All those crazy Godzilla movies. It's like, okay, yeah, he's doing Godzilla stuff. He's knocking down buildings and he's doing what he does, but he's dancing, he's telling jokes. It's like, it's amazing that you can blend the humor into any kind of carnage like that. And my book, Screwing Sinatra, is a very serious book, but there's also a lot of well-placed humor in there as well. So you can see how they're a bit the same.
Have you read Tom Scholey's Godzilla and Great Gatsby?
No, I haven't. That sounds interesting.
It's really great.
What does he do to Gatsby?
I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, so, I definitely want that. Yeah.
So, give us, what is the elevator pitch for Screwing Sinatra?
Well, basically, it's alternative history, historical fiction, if you will. It's set in 1960. It's when Frank Sinatra, JFK, and gangster Sam Giancana conspire to fix the presidential election, which they do. A lot of promises were made and broken, and there's betrayals. And the mob blames Sinatra because, Jack's your guy, Frank, you're responsible. So Sinatra's on the run because the mob wants to kill him for something he didn't do, when all along he was just trying to do well. But so he goes on the run, and the story really goes, like I said, it's fiction based on fact. But once you get to that part, the story goes off the rails, and it's just, I made the whole thing up at that point. And it's fucking nuts. And Sinatra, of course, is Frank Sinatra, so he gets out of it. But he gets screwed. Wasn't fair, but he did, and that's where it came from.
What is the inspiration for Screwing Sinatra?
Well, my very first book editor cornered me a few years ago and said, "When are you going to write another Las Vegas book?" It was nothing I really want to write about. Nothing interests me. I don't want to do it. And then he cornered me again. He's a very soft-spoken, mild-mannered guy, so him to corner me twice. So anyway, I go, there's nothing. I mean, there's the Rat Pack is interesting, but it's been done to death. There's been a million books and movies and TV shows. Quite frankly, they all suck because they're just not good. Either they didn't do their homework, or their stories are bad, or whatever. I go, I don't want to be one more in that line. So a couple of days later, it occurred to me, it doesn't have to be about that. The story can be about something else. That can just be a part of it. That interested me. And once I got that idea in my head, I just took off, and I couldn't stop.
Now, you said that, it is kind of based, you say that it's based on reality, but goes on. How much research, into setting up the story, I guess, is what I'm trying to.
Well, I did a lot of research. And the thing about actually stealing the election, it's one of those things that it's true to a degree. Nobody really can prove to what degree, but Sam Giancana was the gangster that controlled Chicago, and Illinois' electoral votes were going to be the swing votes, and everybody knew that going in. And it's kind of like winos vote 10 times, and voting machines disappear. It's gangster stuff. Can't do it anymore, although I guess people try. But then yeah. It's just that.
And so, who are you? Who did you work on the book with? Who is the rest of the creative team?
Just me.
Oh, just you. So you drew it too?
Oh, it's not a graphic novel.
Oh.
It's just a straight fiction
Okay.
novel.
Sure.
Which IDW, the original idea was, um, they read and liked the book, and the idea was to really do a graphic novel of this story. And then they thought about it a while, and they go, well, you know what? Why don't we put this out as just a regular novel, see if people are interested, and if they are, then we could maybe go on from there. So that's where we are, and the novel came out like 3 weeks ago, and by all indications, it's doing very well. So we'll see where it goes from there, but that's up to them, not me.
Do you have a favorite, person in the book that that the book follows, or
Um, what I did was, I guess you could say that somebody like Jackie Kennedy, who in real life was, the perfect first lady. She was charmed, she was elegant, she did everything right. But she had her personal humiliations because her husband was a dog, and she had to suck that up, but she still did her job. And so what I did is I gave her some balls, and I let her stand up for herself in a big way, which was very germane to how the story twisted to the direction it went. So, I guess you would say that because I thought enough of her to do that, which I've never cared about her one way or another at all, but when I started going into this, I guess you could say that, yeah, maybe she's one of my favorites just because I was able to do something for her.
so when you were writing the book, did you learn something, or did apply something that you learned previously to something that you were able to?
Yeah, I just, what I learned, because I did a lot of research, and there are a lot of books about Sinatra, and what I learned very quickly on was that everybody who writes a book about Sinatra has an agenda. They either love him or they hate his guts. So you're not going to get any useful knowledge out of any of these books. All you're going to get is that a certain event happened at a certain date and place. They'll agree on that, but what happened after that, nobody agrees. So, like I said, it's alternate history, and I get to make a lot of stuff up. So, I didn't really have too much of a problem with that.
And while you were writing the book, did you immerse yourself in the music, or kind of?
A little bit, because I never really cared. That's the wrong word. I never really thought that much about Sinatra's music either way, But what I always found fascinating was his personal life, and being able to dig into that. And I was able to dig into that because there is one book that tells the truth. It's called My Life with Mr. S. It was written by George Jacobs, who was his valet for 15 years. And and they were in love with each other, and he just wrote what happened, and you could take what he wrote as fact. So I learned a lot from him, and that steered me in directions, that I never would have come up with, because the things you don't find anywhere else. I learned some funny things too, like I get to make stuff up. So people go, "Oh my God, you made that up." Well, did I? Oh my God, I know that's true. Well, is it? For example, I have a scene where Jack and his brother Bobby Kennedy are arguing. And so, like, you've been a dick ever since you flunked third grade. Well, Bobby Kennedy didn't really flunk third grade, but he did flunk third grade. He, honest to God, really flunked third grade. And what I find fascinating is that his father, who was the puppet master of this whole thing, this whole fixing the election, he was rich, he was connected, why didn't he step in and get his kid promoted to fourth grade? But he didn't. He made the kid repeat third grade, which I'd like to know the answer to that, because I think it's all hilarious. But anyway, things like that, you get to sort of play with the reader a little bit, and there are a lot of things that I use. And one of them was great. I have a scene where it's at a fundraising party, and Bobby's worried that Jack's going to try and sneak out and go to Marilyn Monroe's house. So Jack goes to the bathroom. Bobby's guarding the door. Jack climbs out the window, hails a cab, and goes to Marilyn's house. Now, that's in my book. The real story, Pierre Salinger was Jack Kennedy's press secretary. And decades later, he was a friend of mine. So everybody's dead. He's telling stories, and I'm allowed to sit in on this. And I based it on a true story. The true story being that one night, while Jack Kennedy was president, he was at Marilyn's house, and he got wind that there was a photographer out front. So what does the president of the United States do? He climbs out the window, cuts through a bunch of backyards, calls a cab, and goes back to his hotel. And that's the truth. And you're not going to find that anywhere because I got that pretty much from the horse's mouth. Now, can you imagine today, any president, not necessarily the current president, any modern day president doing such a thing? But it was a different time. Things were private back then. And so, he climbed out the window. Well, he made that up. Well, you know what? I really didn't. So it's kind of fun being able to do that.
And you were saying this is your first experience of Comic-Con. What do you think?
Well, I mean, all I've done is walk through to get over here, and it's really interesting.
That took you an hour?
Yeah. But I got to tell you, I'm really excited to when I'm done here because I'm doing a signing and some other things. When I'm done, I'm really looking forward to wandering through the whole place because it's just fascinating, and I'm really very much looking forward to it.
Is there anything else you wanted to mention about screwing Sinatra that maybe we didn't cover? Or
yeah, it's got Sinatra in the title. It's a celebrity-driven story, but if you boil it down to its lowest common denominator, it's a crime thriller, and throw the rest out the window. It's a crime thriller that stands pretty well on its own. So if you like crime thrillers, you'll like this. If you like a celebrity, you'll like this. If you like them both, goddamn, you're gonna love this.
All right. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with us.
Absolutely.
And, are you on the social medias?
Yeah, I am. PMoss on Facebook and moss.vegas on Instagram.
Okay. Well, thank you for taking the time to chat with us, and enjoy the rest of the show and your signing.
Thanks a lot.